Nick, I know from watching old Michigan film, you may not be the expert on strong-armed quarterbacks, but just a little levity for the day.
All good.
But when you go back and watch the film on Michael's performance over the weekend and such, does he sometimes rely on that strong arm a little too much as opposed to stepping into throws a little bit more than he should?
That'd probably be a good question to ask Mike relative to, his confidence in his arm. Certainly, I think he has that. I think when you look at Saturday, I need to do a better job of preparing him for that, for the game, for the game plan, what we're asking him to do. I think the fundamentals can improve. I think, just the footwork, the drops, the timing, the follow through, the finish, just simple fundamentals. We'll be working on certainly this week and as we go through the season, because Michael obviously can play a lot better than he did Saturday, and certainly I shoulder most of the burden on that. I didn't do a good job putting him in positions to be successful, and didn't prepare him well enough for the moment. So Mike's a special player and a great kid, and I know he's going to play better, and I'm going to coach him better. So there's definitely things we got to improve on, no doubt, relative to just fundamentals of the position. So sometimes he did a good job and the plays were executed, and sometimes I didn't prepare him well enough. So we'll be working on that for sure.
Yeah, Coach, how do you evaluate just the game you called and the run-pass balance and some of the things that you tried to do, and how did the game plan deviate also with maybe some of the negative plays?
Yeah, not very good. It's our profession and our job is pretty evaluation friendly, and we didn't get enough yards and score enough points, and we turned the ball over and gave them 17 points. So we need to do better. I need to coach better. Sometimes you look at it from a schematic standpoint and ask yourself the things that you could, put your guys in better position, and then other times the execution of the plays need to be better. That's our job as coaches as well. So you look at both of those. You look at, in this play versus the defense that the guys are going against, is it schematically sound? If everybody does their job, should the play have success? And then you look at the execution of that. And wherever either one of those falls short, the responsibility is on the coach. So we're looking to improve on that this week, and clearly we didn't do a good job on Saturday.
Just to go back from watching film, Mike, one thing that Tom Allen mentioned was that he saw a few passes go high. Did you see anything? Did you see that consistently being the case with Michael? Did you see anything just sort of different or off about him mechanically that was leading to some of the height on the passes?
Yeah, just kind of to reiterate Tom's question, I just think some of the fundamentals within the moment could be a little tighter, a little better. Some of those throws, Michael's moving, but there's fundamentals involved in that as well. So, and that's the difference between, big completions and incompletions or tipped passes, the ball location. So sometimes you can get away with those things throughout the course of the week against the scout team, but when you play really good defenses, you can't. And so I think to everyone's point, I need to coach him better. I need to make sure that he's got a good base, he's got his feet underneath him, he's able to finish his throws and follow through. Even when there is, some leakage or duress or, movement within the pocket, you still got to be able to execute those plays. That's what Michael has done throughout his career, and we expect him to do that moving forward, and I know he feels the same way. So I need to coach him better and make sure we put him in those situations so that, and you're talking a foot. That's the difference between, Ty on the sideline making a couple of those and it tipping off the fingertips. That's the difference between, in this conference, in this sport, 30-yard gain and a tipped interception. So the margin for error is small. We knew that going into the game, and in some of those instances, I can coach him better.
Coach, I know a lot of hard work and planning goes into the game plan, scouting and film room and all of that. But when it was obvious that it kind of wasn't working, wasn't Michael's day Saturday, is it just too difficult to alter that game plan, maybe just quicker releases for him, quicker throws, just to try to get him into a rhythm to do something different to change it?
Yeah, I certainly think that conversations were had throughout the game on how to try to best move the ball and help him get into a rhythm. we didn't help by giving them points on offense. You know, you throw 2 pick sixes, your chances of winning a football game, doesn't matter who you're playing, I mean, dramatically decrease. So, you know, that was kind of the flow of the game. You know, we got behind so early, and it was our fault. We were responsible for that. So, you know, at that point in time, you know, you're trying to get back into the game. And, you know, throwing 5-yard completions sometimes is harder to do that. So that's just kind of how it went. And there were some completions that were there that we didn't hit, you know, some underneath routes to some receivers that you're expecting a little bit more production in that play. And we got to get that out of them as coaches. We got to make sure that they understand the scheme, they can execute and play fast. And regardless if it's a short or underneath throw or an intermediate or deeper pass. So there's definitely conversations throughout the game on how to best try to attack them and get yourself back into the game. But when you throw 2 interceptions for pick sixes, you throw a third and gives them a field goal. And obviously not all of those were Michael's fault. You know, I need to make sure that we understand the schemes and can execute and take care of the football. You know, you get a tip pass early in the game. I mean, sometimes those things happen, but if you turn the ball over the way we did Saturday, it won't matter who we're playing. So, you know, that's my responsibility, but it's a fair question. You get down like we did, you're looking for any answer you can to try to get yourself back into the game, and sometimes in trying to do that, you got to force the ball down the field maybe more than you'd like.
Coach, you mentioned earlier you need to put Michael in a better position. What might that entail?
Well, I think making sure that he's got his feet underneath him, making sure that the protection schemes are friendly for the O-line, friendly for Michael, get him into a rhythm early. You know, we fumbled the ball on the second play of the game on a zone read exchange. Not ideal, not good. And then the third play of the game, we threw a tip pick for 6. So we didn't get off to the start that we were looking for. And we were in a little bit of a catch-up mode from that point on. And so we got to get Mike into a good rhythm early in the game. And that's my responsibility. So we didn't do that, and that's not Mike's fault. That's my fault.
In terms of helping Mike kind of find that rhythm, feel more comfortable, whether it's inside the pocket, outside the pocket, this is a guy who's coming off a second ACL injury in his first game back. How do you work with him, with a guy that has that history, to help him feel comfortable when he's coming back, and, you know, trying to, you know, I guess, avoid any kind of lingering thoughts, or kind of help him get in a rhythm without worry of what's happened in the past?
Well, I think that's a question for Mike. You know, I don't downplay the emotions that Mike must have felt on Saturday. I can only imagine. I think all of us in this room can only imagine what that would have been like for a 21-year-old kid. So I'm proud of Mike for that. I really am. So that's a challenge. We got to work through that. But I'm awful proud of Mike Penix for having the courage to keep playing. So we got work to do. Mike's a great player. And the response that Mike will have, I think, will continue to inspire the people that he already has. So I'm looking forward to it and excited about it.
Nick, there's been a lot of talk all summer long, really, with the Dealing getting here and improving the running game and such. And so, what were your thoughts on how Steven did and the running game in general?
Well, we didn't play well or coach well in really any area. I will say that Stephen Carr ran hard and physical and showed some elusiveness and some burst. So I appreciated his toughness. I thought he continued to compete throughout the course of the game, but you know, it goes without saying we need to do better. You know, I need to coach better and make sure that our players are confident in what we're asking them to do. They can play like their hair's on fire and play with the toughness and aggressiveness that I know that they have. But we didn't show that on Saturday. So, you know, talk is cheap. It really is. You know, we got to go do it. So we have good players. We have guys that care. We have good coaches. We need to do better. And certainly, you know, it's an understatement to say Iowa outcoached us on our side of the ball. That's for sure. And we need to do better.
Luke obviously was out for this one. It seemed like Tom said he was the guy that you guys were expecting to start. I guess how much of a shakeup did that create, and how much did that kind of, I guess, create a scramble, basically having to move some guys around on the line coming up mid this one?
I mean, not ideal, but I mean, that's just the nature of football. You know, you got to build depth, create depth, develop depth, and you got to be able to plug guys in and execute. And so we don't make any excuses for that. You know, all 5 of those guys are on scholarship and expected to perform at a high level. And there were certainly moments and plays where guys did a good job, but you know, you got to play as 11. All guys got to play, you know, together, collective. And so, you know, we don't make any excuses. You know, we got good players that, regardless of who's got to go down and who's got to step in, we got to be able to perform and execute at a high level. And as coaches, we got to make sure that we put them in positions to do that. So, you know, obviously we think Luke's a good player and excited whenever he gets the opportunity to come back. But, you know, we got to press on and move on and still expect to move the ball and score points and help our team win, period. So that's my answer to that.
Hey, Coach, from what you've seen on film, do you believe it was a lack of execution or defensive game planning by Iowa that led to the struggles from the offense?
I'm not downplaying what Iowa's staff did. I think they're excellent. They're excellent coaches. I thought the game plan was sound. The execution was not where it needs to be, and that falls on the coach. So I didn't look at the schemes on Saturday and feel like there's always a handful of plays where you feel like they called a better call than you did. That happens every game, no matter who you are. But you know, the focus is on the execution of the plays and the execution of the game plan. And any lack of execution falls on us as a staff, you know, to make sure that our players fully understand what we're asking them to do and can do that aggressively for a long period of time. And so anybody that's been in this conference understands the general structure of Iowa's defense. You know, that's not the challenge when you play them necessarily. It's the execution, and they certainly did a much better job than we did. So we need to improve on that. We need to coach better, and it starts with me. Okay, thanks, guys.